So here with Joe Lamar, if I pronounce your last name.
Lamar.
Okay. And I see your hat. You're a Vietnam veteran.
Yes.
And what service?
Air Force.
Air Force?
Air Force.
Cool. What years did you serve for?
From 1963 to 67.
Okay. Wow. Did you? What made you want to go into the military?
For one thing, losing my place in the basketball program down at Southwest Baptist College.
Oh wow, wow.
And
so it was. What is that? SBU?
Yeah,
yeah.
Wow. It was still a junior college at that time, back in the day.
Wow.
So I came home, and me and the coach Rex Grady down there didn't get along too well, and I was 18 years old and thought I knew everything. that I could know, and then my dad and I didn't get along on some issues, and so I took off and was walking around Springfield, and some of the guys that I had went to school with had joined right out of high school, and I was walking down on Boonville, headed back toward the house over after I was waiting until my dad actually left, and walked into saw that Air Force recruiter and walked in and said, "What does it take to become, in the Air Force?" And started talking to me. Sat down, took tests, and a week later I was headed to Kansas City and San Antonio. Then eventually.
Wow! So you did your basic in San Antonio?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. That's really cool. What did you do in the Air Force?
I was an air policeman.
Okay.
And I had high enough scores and stuff that I went to tech school instead of on-the-job training, OJT, and so I stayed at Blackland, for another, I guess, 8 months, something like that, and then I was high enough ranked in that I got the top 3 in the class, like 130 guys, got their choice of assignment.
I've heard this before.
And so I wanted somewhere close to Missouri, and I was looking for maybe Richards Cabot, but I had stronger marks in law enforcement than I did security, and so I wound up in Wichita Falls, Texas, at Shepherd Air Force Base in law enforcement, and was there, from 1963. I was there when Kennedy was assassinated.
Wow.
And then in '66. I got orders to go to Don Muang, Thailand. And when we got to Clark Air Base in the Philippines, there was about 1,500 guys in a big aircraft hangar. The guy came out and tapped the microphone and said, "All right, listen up, everybody's got this on your orders. You're going to Saigon, the rest of you are going to Da Nang." And we went, "What?" "No, I'm going to it was what was it? Bangkok, Thailand.
Okay.
At Don Muang Air Base or something like that, right outside of Bangkok. That's where my orders were. A big, massive troop buildup, and so I spent 13 months in Vietnam and shot at and missed and had different things happen, and came back, and I was going to try to complete my college. I'd done some college in Texas down there at Wichita Falls at Midwestern University, and I had like 32 transferable hours, and I was trying to go through OCS, and they said, "No, you're a critical career field, you'll be going right back to Vietnam."
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Well, then let me out."
Yeah.
And I said, "I gave you 13 months to get me, and you didn't get it done, so
yeah,
Makes
sense. So you went, I got to go back to this. So you're what, about 18, 19 years old? You're in
I turned
Texas.
21 when I was in Vietnam.
No, I'm talking about JFK.
Oh, yeah.
So
I was 19.
Yeah, 19. Did you guys have to do it? Did you go to Dallas? Did you guys have to do anything? Or?
We were put on every base. I was downtown Wichita Falls when they made the announcement. Walter Cronkite came on and said President Kennedy has been assassinated. And immediately they were calling in, have everybody coming back to the base. And there was I guess every base in America was on alert.
Oh, I bet.
They hadn't found, and I'm not sure that, I think that Lee Harvey Oswald was one of the shooters, if not more than one. And we had people that had been there. It was 150 miles from Wichita Falls to Dallas. and they told us that that the only people that J.D. Tippett, the cop that allegedly Lee Harvey Oswald killed, that the only vehicles that were moving after the shooting were official. And somehow or another, he got from the depository to where J.D. Tippett was killed. And it would have been hard to do on foot, and I believed that there was, all my life I believed that there's a conspiracy behind it. I used to think that Lyndon Johnson was a part of it, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah. There's a lot of levels,
Yeah.
There's a lot of interests. You can look at it from the mob perspective. You can look at it from the communist perspective. You can look at it through the powers that be weren't liking the way it was going perspective. There's so many different angles.
Yes.
And I don't until they release that stuff, I don't think we'll ever know. It's interesting that you brought that up, though, because Stephen King, I don't know if you know the author, he wrote a book called 11/22/63, and it's fiction, but it's about the assassination, and it's about, basically, it's a story about a man. He's a teacher in present day, and he goes to this diner and has lunch. He's divorced, so he's kind of just going through life, and the guy who runs the diner says, I want to show you something one day. And he goes, all right. So he takes him back to the broom closet, opens it up. The guy's like, what? And he's like, go in there. And he's like, okay. And he goes in there, and it's a portal, and it takes him back to October of 1961. And he's just like, oh my God. And so if you go back, and you can step back to the porthole, and time goes, no matter how long you're in it, only 5 minutes of time goes by in present day. So he comes back, and the diner guy says, well, I've tried, but I'm dying. I want you to go back and prevent it, because if you prevent it, then Vietnam doesn't happen, and all these bad things don't happen. And so that's inevitably what the story is about. It's incredible. But that in itself, that idea that if he wouldn't have been assassinated, I don't think that's right, because we were already moving there.
Yeah.
Way before he was assassinated. He'd set that in motion a long time ago.
There was advisors, and they went over there, and the problem was a lot of American advisors and they were not supposed to be anything with action. I think most of them were just carrying a sidearm, were getting killed. And when that happened, the powers that be said, hey, wait a minute, if you're not going to take care, we're here to help the South Vietnamese. And an interesting thing that a lot of people don't realize, when I was there, and there was a T and a key. They were battling. One of them was the South Vietnamese Army, the other was South Vietnamese Air Force. And we were sitting there on our bunkers and stuff, and the South Vietnamese Air Force was fighting the South Vietnamese Army to see who would be in control, while we're there to help them fight North Vietnam. And we were sitting out there, and I had some Marines around me. We had, the internal security of Da Nang, and flak vest, helmets, and all this kind of stuff. And A-1E Sky Raiders were strafing right outside the main gate of Da Nang Air Force Base against the South Vietnamese Army.
That's crazy.
And, there was just a lot of stuff that was going on. De Gaulle, the French, was what set. I mean, the South Vietnamese were basically, slaves to the French. And there was a lot of stuff there that, that you sit there and you just kind of scratch your head and say, wow, what do you do? And then when you're a military person and you're sitting there, your deal is to just do your job. Of course, you can't turn off your intelligence.
Yeah, or your human compassion.
Your compassion and stuff like this. But there was, someday I'd like to, maybe, I don't know if I'd want to write a book, but just the things that I've experienced.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Or you could record it, and it'd be a good thing for you to pass on to your kids, your family. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or if I'll be 72 and Friday.
Oh, happy birthday!
Happy birthday! Yeah. And I'm astonished. I look back, I'm the same Joe Lamar that was slapped on the butt in 1944 and started crying, but I'm bigger and there's more, and I've kind of held on to the belief that man is a sum total of what he's been taught or subjected to.
Yep.
And and of course, you know, higher education, you know, formal education, that goes without saying. Everybody needs that, and one of the problems we have in the world today is we have people that
if
are not
ignorance
educated.
didn't breed ignorance, that's
Yes,
a big part of it.
absolutely.
Yep, I completely agree with you.
And so maybe one of these days, if I could ever decide that I want to quit working, but I don't know that I want to quit working, because the people that I see that quit working,
They're done.
they die.
Yeah, I know.
And my thing is, if you don't use it, you lose it.
We are very right on the money, because I don't think I'll ever retire because of that reason.
Yeah.
I love what I do, so I'm very lucky in that aspect. So I probably could do it forever, until they take it away from me. So after you got out of the service, you went to law enforcement, you said?
Yeah, I did a little bit of everything. I worked for the city of Ozark for a while. I worked for the railroad and for the 3M company, and those things didn't pan out. And then I found a job down there, doing a police job down in Ozark. Did it for a couple, 2 or 3 years, and I'm just now I can bite my tongue. In those days I couldn't.
Yeah.
I had one time Tom Selleck in a movie. I forget now what the movie was called, but
Quigley Down Under?
no, it wasn't Quigley. It was the one with Mark Harmon. Mark Harmon played the bad guy, and Tom Selleck was going to rescue this gal. Her husband had been shanghaied and killed, and evidently Mark Harmon had it done, and Virginia Madsen was the lady.
Okay.
And he was, as the story unfolded, he was raised to become a Jesuit priest. And she said, "This is interesting. That said, what happened there?" And he said, "I just always had trouble turning the other cheek."
Yeah.
And that I always liked that line.
It's true.
But I don't know. Someday, I'm still very active. I still umpire softball games. Still
cool.
play golf.
Yeah.
Fish hunt. And work.
Yeah.
It's. I'm very blessed. I have a wonderful relationship with Jesus, my Savior. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Him. I know that. I've been through a couple of marriages, and I'm divorced and single. Never going to do that again.
Never's a long time, my dad used to tell me.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
I don't. The last one hit me pretty hard, after 18 years, I'm over the bitterness part of it, but I don't trust.
Yeah.
And if you don't have trust in a relationship, you don't have a relationship.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
And it's I say that tongue in cheek. It never, like you said, never's a long time. And if the good Lord brought some woman into my life, I'd say welcome, but I'm not going through that marriage stuff again.
Yeah.
It's senseless to me.
Yeah, companionship. You don't have to you don't have to marry someone to be a companion or
Absolutely.
partner.
Yeah.
So, right.
And there you go.
Yeah.
That's how I see it, but I'm definitely not looking.
Yeah.
I enjoy playing golf and working, and the guys I play golf with that are married, they're constant phones ringing out on the golf course. When are you coming home?
I know.
I don't have to do that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, I appreciate your time today. I appreciate you talking with me, and thank you so much for your service.
Well, it's one of those things, Mike, that I look at. Sometimes as it's been said now lately, the tapestry of life. What things are woven into your tapestry, and I didn't set out to be a soldier or in the Air Force or anything else like this. It wasn't a goal of mine, but I did it, and I wish that more people came back healthier than as I did, and mean, there's stuff that that I don't talk about. And I'm certainly. When you're a soldier, when you're in the military, I think there's some people who come back that are heroes. I don't think I'm a hero. I think I did what I was